Both Ford and Toyota have turbo V6s under the hoods of their trucks. Which one's better? We'll find out today. I'll include a link to the Sky Ford and Provost website in the description down below, and then the Orem Toyota's website in the description down below as well. They're providing us with both of these trucks. Let's get right into the comparison. This week's giveaway highlight is a 57 Chevy Resto model with over 600 horsepower. If you happen to be interested, use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. Any donation, $25 or more, will give you 4x bonus entries into this giveaway. Powering the Ford is a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic. Fuel economy 16 around town, 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 400 horsepower and then 500 pound-feet of torque. Now powering the Tundra is a twin-turbo 3.4-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed. Fuel economy 17 around town, 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 389 horsepower and then 479 pound-feet of torque. If you want to keep these comparisons coming, make sure you subscribe. It really helps out and it's completely free. Now I tried to match the colors on both of the trucks, but equipment wise the Ford has fog lights. As you can see, we've got recovery points too, kind of like a blacked out front end. The Tundra does not have any recovery points, but it does have fog lights and kind of more of a luxury finish with the front end. You can see that gray kind of, it's more of a silvery trim. 275 by 65 by 18 is the tire and wheel setup with the Ford. Got some all-terrain tires with blacked out wheels. 265 by 60 by 20 is the tire and wheel setup with the Tundra. Again, more of a luxury setup. And you know the Tundra has these like fancy body painted fender flares, whereas with the F-150, no fender flares at all. But funny enough, the F-150 has steps, the Tundra does not. Now, both of these just have fixed shocks, but the Tundra is coil sprung in the back, whereas the F-150, on the other hand, has leaf springs. Side profile with the F-150, it has a decent amount of rake, but it's not offensive at all. Now with the Tundra, it's actually pretty level front to rear. There's a little bit of rake, but not as much as the F-150. Now taking a look at the tailgate of the F-150. Hello, you got tailgate stuff. That was weird. We do have an outlet in the bed. We also have LED bed lights with this, and yeah, decent space, but yeah, no bed liner with the F-150. And then of course it's manual, so you gotta raise it. Look at that ruler too. Not bad at all. Now the Tundra, it's kind of fancy. Pretty nice setup with the bed. This is a composite bed, no bed liner, so if you want it to stick, you'd still have to put bed liner on it. And then we do have an outlet in the bed of the Tundra and LED lights. And the tailgate itself is, yeah, automatic. Now you do have a bunch of nice painted elements in the back of the F-150, like the bumpers, for example, and you got the exhaust tip poking out the side. And the Tundra also looks nice in the back end. You'll note that you got some chrome on the bottom there, and then the exhaust tip is all blacked out on the Tundra. Legroom in the back of the F-150 is great. Got a storage pocket here. Got the cup holders and everything, USB ports, vents, and this is nice with the cloth seats, as you can see. Yeah, the F-150 also has nice trim on the door panel. Power sliding rear window. There's good headroom here in the back, and this is a 60-40 split with the seats. Now in the back of the Tundra, a little bit less space, but it's actually still really good. Got a little storage pocket, some USB ports, full outlet, cup holders up top, and then yeah, this is nice with the leather trim on the seats, and price point matches, you'll see later. Anyways, more nice trim on the door panel. The whole window goes down in the Tundra for the glass, and there's a bit less headroom, but it's still good. Blind spot running with the mirrors in the F-150. I'm pretty sure these XLTs have double pane windows. We'll check with the driving portion. But yeah, the windows either way are automatic for the front. Payload capacity is 1,808 pounds. And then cloth front seat, at least the driver is power adjustable, which is nice. And then you have all the controls on the side for like the auto stop start, for example. And we'll start up the F-150 full digital with a gauge cluster. It's kind of expected nowadays. But yeah, you've got practical controls on either side. So like for the center stack on the one side, cruise control there on the other side. You actually have a 360 camera system with the XLT, and the infotainment system itself is pretty quick to respond. It does take a second for some of the stuff to load up. And you got the side tab there too. Pro trailer assist with this, and then down below we've got a trailer brake controls. You notice this has a part-time four-wheel drive system with a 2-speed transfer case and a rear diff lock. Dual zone climate with heated seats. Got some USB ports there. Plenty of storage in this area. The shifter does fold down. This one doesn't have the console that folds out, but that's why those shifters will fold down. But anyways, big center console either way. Double glove box with this, and then just for the power setting window, and then no sunroof in this one. Blind spot running with the Tundra, no double pane windows in this, but you do get nice trim on the door panel. Mirrors power fold in, you got memory seats. Payload's quite a bit less at 1,390 pounds, but it's still pretty capable. And then again, you got those leather seats up front with the Tundra, power adjustments, lumbar support on the side. Heated steering wheel buttons actually off to the side here, which is kind of funny. The engine stop start trailer brake controls too, and look at that, full digital, just like what you got over in the Ford. The graphics on the Toyota are a little bit more old school, but I think they're endearing. I like them. Practical controls here on the front face of the steering wheel for everything, including adaptive cruise and all of that. This does have a 360 camera system. You can see the real world glare with that whole setup. And yeah, big screen for the infotainment system. I think it's just as easy to use as the Ford's, good response time. And then down below we've got heated ventilated seats, dual zone climate controls, tailgate drop down button for the 360 camera. Got a real shifter here, phone charging pad, part-time four-wheel drive system, 2-speed transfer case. Got your drive mode, tow haul mode, select too. This is kind of cool with the little window. But yeah, the center console opens up, got some USB ports there. Pretty nice trim on the top. Camera rear view mirror with this, and then no sunroof. So when it comes to pricing, the Tundra is about $63,000, that F-150 is about $65,000. So yeah, this is comparable. The F-150 is actually the more expensive one. Let's drive them. Well, Toyota Tundra Limited with the TT V6. See if the engine makes it to the end of the review. I had to make the joke. You know what I think's funny though is, like, I review new cars, so like sometimes I'll get a new car, and even like the brand new car will have some funkiness about it. I have never had a single problem with any Tundra. I've never had any glitches with any of the systems. I've never had the engine make any weird noises. Even like Tundras, they're on the dealer lot with zero gas in them, right? Where the engine's really gonna have to work. Nothing. Not saying there's not problems, but like, just saying they haven't appeared to me at all. They're hiding from me. But yeah, the coil suspension in the back end, it's a nice setup. Really what that does, because you still have a solid axle in the back, so the solid axle is still gonna wiggle side to side. The independent suspension up front's obviously not, but with those coil springs, it's gonna move a little bit more freely. It's not gonna be as stiff, so you still get the movement, but you get more comfortable movement. And then if you take the vehicle off-road, yeah, that equals more flex, more articulation, tires touching the ground. What you're wanting, what you're looking for. Yeah, this is smooth. Sorry, I'm going to pull this down. The sun's a little bit too bright. It's got good torque too. I do like the Tundra engine. If you drive any of these new Toyotas like you drive a diesel, where you just focus on the torque, just ride the torque, quite nice. Quite nice with the power delivery and everything. Man, there is so much traffic. Seems like, you know, I'll leave an area of Utah for a while for, like, I won't go do reviews for a while, and then I come back, and every single time it seems like there's more traffic than there was before. It's like there's people just coming out of nowhere. It's got a good top end too. I mean, this thing's got almost 400 horsepower. So it can still pull, which is nice. You get that like low end kind of diesel-like torque feel, but then you also have a top end that means that you got passing power on the highway. I think these Tundras drive nice. I'm of the opinion you always gotta go and test out all the competition. I mean, that's one of the things that I've gotten out of this job more than anything else, is not, oh, this car is way better than that. Like, there is some of that. There is some of, hey, this car is better than that car. But a lot of it is just the fact that you've got to just go and test the competition. You got to just go and see what's up with the different brands. Because I'm always surprised when I go and drive a car and it's like, wow, this is nicer than I thought. It happens all the time for me. It happens all the time. So, Tundra Limited. It's got all the right ingredients. And I think that people would be more willing to look at this truck if Toyota wasn't having the engine issues. But again, it's not every single truck. I mean, from what people have told me, it's like less than 1% of trucks have been affected. Obviously, there's the recall of like, you know, 100,000 vehicles here, 100,000 vehicles there. So it sounds like big and crazy, but you got to remember, all the American trucks, their recall numbers are in the millions, not hundreds of thousands. So just take that into account. F-150 back-to-back with a Tundra. I mean, we've got very similar engines, different suspension in the back. This has leaf springs, still solid axle. And yeah, it's interesting. The American trucks are a lot more expensive. But here's the truth. Here's why the American trucks are a lot more expensive. Toyotas, if you pay very close attention to Toyota's pricing with their vehicles, they have a very, I would say, straightforward business model. If they're doing well in a segment, sorry, I got to adjust this a little bit. If they're doing well in a segment, then they will price the vehicle as high as they possibly can. Look at the new Tacoma, for example. It is more expensive than any other midsize pickup truck in the market for like-to-like package. It's a truck from Toyota, but Toyota sells more Tacomas than anyone else sells any other midsize pickup trucks. So they go, hey, we got pricing power, we'll do it. Price goes up. But when Toyota's not doing well in a segment, I'll give you two examples. The Tundra, right? They don't sell nearly as many Tundras as any of the American automakers sell half-size pickup trucks, half-ton pickup trucks in the US market. So what do they got to do? Undercut the competition. So they price the Tundra package-wise way lower than the competition. I mean, a fully loaded Tundra is like, with a suspension lift, is like 80 grand. But really, if you look at it, like a fully loaded Tundra is like mid-70s. Okay? Fully loaded of the American brands is like 85 to 90. So big price difference. So that's where the pricing comes in from Toyota. They're just doing the thing that they've always done, where if they're doing well, and another example is the Lexus LXM long-term testing. That is supposed to compete against kind of like the Mercedes, you know, maybe GLS, G-Wagon, Range Rover Sport, or Range Rover full size. And, you know, Toyota sells some of those LXs in the US market, but not nearly as many as they'd like. And so what they've done with that LX is, it's an expensive vehicle, but they've priced it at a lower price point compared to the competition. Man, the power on this is great. Super smooth. I'd say this feels a little bit smoother than the Tundra. The Tundra feels like it's got really good, like, low-end torquey punch. It feels like it's got more torque on the low end compared to the F-150, but this still feels great. And it's got a great top end, 400 horsepower. But yeah, as I was saying, is they aren't the market, you know, they don't have market dominance. So the LX, instead of being, you know, $150,000, it's like 120. So the Tundra, instead of being, you know, with that limited, instead of being $75,000 like the rest of the truck OEMs here in America, they got it at the low 60s. And like fully decked out, that limited gets up to like 70. I mean, if you have the Tier D suspension lift or anything, you can go higher, but that's a whole different thing. So the F-150 is comfortable. I think it's more comfortable in the Tundra with the ride. I think the seats are a little bit more comfortable, even though it has leather seats. I think these cloth seats are actually a little bit better. This is a nice place to be. It's a very nice place to be. So with all that being taken into consideration, Tundra is obviously a better value. I think we can all be objective about that. You get more features for less money. But man, it's hard to beat an F-150 when it comes to the drive. They are really comfortable. And I forgot to check the windows. Let's check them right now. Yeah, they're double paned, like I thought they were. So let me know which one you'd pick.